Today's topic of discussion is heartless women. So right now, there seems to be an increase in narcissistic women and women who just thrive off of attention on social media. So in this video, we're going to be discussing some key characteristics in terms of how to spot a narcissistic woman who is just sucking your attention. So first point is test. Now I'm going to play this 30-second clip of a guy explaining how he knows a friend of his who the woman was stopping him from seeing his child. So I'll play it now for you guys.
You will never know a woman until she has leverage on you. You could be with a woman 5-10 years. Until she has leverage on you, that's the only time you're gonna know who she really is. When she gets pregnant or when you get married. That's when her true colors show. I'm so scared to ever let a woman get leverage on me. I had a friend, he was begging his baby mama, I'll send you $1,000 just to send me a picture of my child. Women wield power like a tyrant. You have to manufacture situations to test that woman before you get her pregnant, before you get married, because you will never know.
Okay, so you guys are back now. You better watch it out. Now in that video, the guy was talking about how a woman, once she gains leverage over you, that's the time you're gonna know whether she's a real one or a fake one. Whether she's gonna try and manipulate you or she's gonna be loyal to you. The thing is, right, these women nowadays have become self-centered. So they'll be testing a bunch of other guys, multiple guys, simultaneously. So let's say she's talking to 5-10 different guys, because social media has allowed that now, where a woman can be on Instagram, she can be on Snapchat, she can be on flipping Discord, you name it. She's got all these different guys, and then she's got certain guys who have approached her in real life. Now she's got all them different guys on there. She's testing all of them, testing their patience level. Now the guy who's the least amount invested into her, doesn't really give her much attention, is just doing his own thing. She'll be interested in that guy. Now that guy could be a serial fornicator. He could be somebody who's just talking to other women who are better than her. But in her thick brain, she's thinking, this guy here is a man of value. This guy here is pre-selected. This guy here is better than me. You know, she's not looking at it from logic and reasoning, where there might have been a certain guy who's, let's say, approached her or sent her a DM and he was respectful, where he was, let's say, talking to her, trying to talk to her for marriage purposes. But she just shut him down. She said, not interested. You know, this is what happens when you let women do their own thing and try and pick men themselves. You know, they ain't got no guidance from no one. So some of you guys may be watching this and you're thinking, there's certain women that I've, approached or I sent a DM to and she just didn't even bother replying. You know, some of these women are literally disrespectful like that. You know, they ain't got no manners. They ain't been raised with no manners. You know, some women who are polite, they'll turn around and say, oh, sorry, I'm not interested. Or, I don't want to continue this. Cool. And then the person ends up moving on. Now, if a guy is just constantly trying to suffocate her, phoning her up like 10 times in a day, and then she just cuts him off, then obviously the guy deserves it. But certain times, right, you're dealing with a woman, she's just like lingering on. You know, because she's testing your patience level. She's testing whether or not you're really a man of value. Because there's a bunch of guys who are fronting, putting on a fake facade, putting on a fake image, You know, they're not actually working on their purpose. They're not actually grinding day in, day out. So that leads us to the next point when it comes to single. Women today are happy to stay single. There's no urgency anymore. There's no need to get into a relationship. So certain times these women, low quality women, they'll do hookups with guys, and then once she finds out the guy's just a flipping beta male simp who's just trying to get in her pants, she'll just pull away. You know, certain times these women here are dealing with multiple different guys, and in her thick head she's thinking, oh, all this attention is just going to stay here. You know, I don't need to get into a relationship. I've got all these different options. I've got all these guys who want me. You know, I can just go to my job. Sorry, my flipping eye. I can just go to my job. I can just make my money and do my traveling, go on all these holidays. You know, when these women like to say, I like to travel. They don't care. They don't care about you guys. You know, back in the day, women had urgency. Women wanted to get into a relationship. They needed a relationship. You know, they wanted a man to provide for them, to protect them, to make sure that they were taken care of. But in today's time, they don't need that. They don't care about that. They're thinking that they can just do everything themselves. You know, that's why certain times these women here can stop communicating with you for several weeks and several months. Because in their head, they're thinking they're going to get somebody else to match you guys. To match your level. You know, until they actually do the self-reflection and actually take the time, which majority of women won't, because they're just living in la la land. Some of the women will actually realize, wait, the grass ain't greener on the other side. You know, things ain't gonna get better. You know, what sort of life is that where a woman just stays single? She ain't got no kids. She ain't got no husband. She's getting older day by day by day. You know, that's the way it is. It just flipping sickens me how these women here have literally become so programmed. They're like, oh yeah, I want to get my education. I want to go to uni. I want to do my studying. I want to get a job. I want to do traveling. I want to flipping, you know, do all these things. And then by the time I get to like 24, 25, 26, 27, that's when I'll start to think about a relationship. You know, after they've wasted all their best years, which 9 out of 10 women have done in today's time. You know, this is what the annoying thing is, how literally parents have programmed their daughters to literally do this. Go out there, you go girl, you don't need to do anything. You can just focus on your own thing. You don't need a man for nothing. Get your, you know, get your experience and enjoy yourself. That's what parents are telling their kids. That's what they're telling their daughters. Enjoy yourself. You know, but where's the parents nowadays who are actually encouraging their kids to get married young, to not fornicate with each other? You know, there's very few dads who are actually getting their daughters married from a young age. You know, they've taught them the correct behavior from a young age. You know, staying single ain't no life. No kids, no partner, flipping, coming home. These women here, what they're doing is, they either do one or the other. They're either flipping, watching X-rated content, flipping, masturbating to this filth. Or the second thing is, haram relationships. It's either one or the other. And this is what it is. There's no such thing as a single life. These women here are literally buying these toys as well to satisfy themselves. Fake satisfaction. Using a flipping toy. Ain't got no flipping partner who's actually having a conversation with her. That's why, if you guys have noticed, women's communication skills suck nowadays. They'd rather just type on the internet, text all day. Oh yeah, I'll text you. I'd hide behind the screen all day. It's just so pathetic. This is what relationships have become nowadays. Sometimes I just sit back and I'm just I get really annoyed. I'm just thinking to myself, what am I up against right now in today's time? I've got so many different women here, so many options here. Yeah, they're seen as flipping pretty, or they're seen as this and that, but they're not fit to my liking. These women here can't communicate properly. They don't know how to have a respectful conversation. They don't know what good values are in a woman. So, next point is disrespect. Women today are so comfortable being disrespectful. It's crazy. Now, how many of you guys who are watching this have been aired by a woman, or, let's say you send her a message and then she just left you unseen? No sense of, sorry, I'm not interested, or I wish you all the best. Some women have been raised with class. They've got standards. They've been raised the right way. They'll be like, sorry, I'm not interested. May Allah bless you with a righteous partner. When I get certain messages, let's say I've spoken to a girl, got her contact details, and then I send my requirements, so like my basic CV and then detailed version. And then the girl says, sorry, I'm not going to be interested in that. May Allah bless you with a righteous partner. May God bless you with a righteous partner, or, I wish you all the best. Those people there, right, they're the flipping best people. They saved me so much time. Because of what? Being respectful. But a lot of women are happy to waste people's time, to continue being disrespectful. That's why you have to give them no contact. That's why you have to stop communicating with them. Because they don't get into their heads that this guy here ain't going to take no disrespect. Some of these women are genuinely programmed into their thick head. They're thinking that all men are just going to take disrespect. That all guys are just going to bend and break eventually. So, final point is silence. Women today, you need to give them silence. Don't even look at them. Don't pay them no attention. Any women that you guys are dealing with, you need to have a basic CV and then detailed version. So in those CVs, you've got your requirements. Any women who don't even fit some of your requirements, don't pay them no attention. Just give them silence. That's what these women deserve, because they're getting so much attention, bombarded with so much beta simps, that these women here are just living in delusion land. They think that they can just replace you guys, just like that. That's why they've become heartless. That's why the flipping title of the video is called Heartless Women. because I'm not the only one who's experienced this. There's several other guys that I know who are flipping high value men, guys who are working, grinding, doing their thing. Some of you guys who are watching this as well, you would have experienced similar situations. Just they don't want to show basic cooperation. Communication skills are at an all-time low now. People, as I said, people would rather just sit at home and just text all day, text at nighttime. They're happy to do that. They're happy to just text you at nighttime, send a bunch of messages. When it comes to actually meeting in person, oh no, sorry, I can't do that. Or let's say they meet in person, they just don't know how to communicate. Just pathetic. So just to wrap up, test. Some of these women are going to be testing you guys. So they'll test, let's say, your emotional intelligence, whether or not you'll respond to her, or if she leaves you unseen, is this guy going to double text, triple text, and so on. Certain times it's a test. Other times they're just messing with you guys. They literally just don't give a damn. Those type of narcissistic type women, they literally thrive off of attention. And then when they get to like 25, 30 years old, when nobody's really interested in them, nobody's really talking to them, then it gets into their thick head, oh yeah, guys, they don't really want me anymore. But they'll still carry on playing their stupid games because they're literally, they're flipping, what's the word, man? Trying to explain it again. Lost my train of thought there. They're so accustomed to that kind of lifestyle. They're so used to being disrespectful that it doesn't faze them anymore. And the next one after that was single. Women today, modern day women, that's what the new term is, that's what they've called them, modern day women. They're comfortable staying single. They're okay with it. They're happy. Even though they're miserable. These women here, they're claiming that, oh yeah, I'm happy to stay single. You're not happy to stay single. You're miserable. You ain't got no kids. You're like 30 years old. You're going to some corporate slave job, waking up at like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, going on a train, sweating it out, getting told what to do by some flipping employer who don't care about you, who don't give a damn about you, making you work all these long hours. And when you come home, back on the train, back in your car, or whatever it is, exhausted, and then repeat the same cycle, rather than actually having a man who's a husband, who's actually providing for you and protecting you, and then you're raising righteous children at home. But these women here, they don't want to do that. They want to be a man. That's what the issue is. And next one after that was disrespect. These women nowadays, they're so comfortable being disrespectful. And then when they come across you guys, you've got principles, you've got boundaries. You don't let no disrespect slide. They start thinking in their head, why isn't this guy bending? Why isn't this guy doing what I told him to do? Some of these women here, they're thinking in their heads that all guys are like this. All guys are just gonna be influenced and she's gonna have full power over them. That's what I've mentioned in the other videos as well. Women today want power and control. They don't care about relationships. They don't care about actually being mums and having children. They literally just want power and control. They want to feel like they own the guy. And then the final point was silence. That's what you got to give to these narcissistic type women. Certain women nowadays are just so narcissistic. You have to give them silence. No contact, no communication. Don't even acknowledge them. Yeah, literally you unsend your messages. That's what I do with these women here. Trust me. You know, I'm going to be making more videos on this as well. You start unsending your messages. Unsend all your messages. Every single one of them. Let's say on Instagram, unsend all of them. Piss them right off. Annoy them right off. Like literally irritate them. You know, so then she don't know when you're going to send a message. It could be a day, it could be 5 days, it could be a week, 2 weeks, a month. And then when she's disrespectful again, trust me, unsend my messages again. Double the time delays. You know, that's the only way to deal with these modern day women. You know, these petty games that these lot keep playing on the internet, on social media. And these women here have got all the time in the world to flip and play these stupid games. You know, I don't think for a second these women care about you guys. Because 9 out of 10 times they don't give a damn. So you guys are going to need to match that energy as well. So when you say, oh yeah, don't care about women, it's basically like that. Don't care about these people here. So I hope that makes sense, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.